Thank you, Cyrus, for inviting me, and thank you all for being here. It's wonderful to be back. To briefly review, before I spoke about practice being constant and complete, I also spoke about the importance of the practice being truly concentrated, a genuine attention or focus. To speak a bit more about that, as a process in our practice, it's very important to have a discipline, patience, humility, humbleness, to return again and again, to bring our attention back here whenever our mind wanders. However, the point of the practice, you might say, is coming to the point where it becomes clear and obvious through your own practice of mind and body that this concentration that you are returning to again and again, refining, deepening, this very concentration is not something that we are creating or manufacturing. Yes, we do need to pay attention to come back. But the point, once again, is that the real concentration is seamless. It's not a matter of self-directed will. We find when it becomes constant and complete, that far from being something that we produce or perfect, it's found to always already be here. We find ourselves engulfed in it. It is holding us. I'm not holding it. We are held in it. Really coming to know this through our own experience. Once again, the process of bringing our attention back again and again. But eventually, if we are practicing properly, it becomes clear. This is not something we develop, manufacture. It's not even something that can come and go. It's found to be the way we are. Of course, when we need to turn our attention to something, we can do that. But, so to speak, underneath, at the ground, at the root, at the source, is this concentration that does not abide or get stuck anywhere. When that concentration becomes solid, so to speak, when it really comes to be the way we are, and certainly you touch this in the depths of your Zazen. You're completely concentrated, and yet you are not concentrating on anything, so to speak. Far from being hazy or cloudy, it's infinitely more clear, defined, distinct than ordinary consciousness. Compared with this concentration, the concentration of ordinary consciousness is abstract. When this seamless concentration becomes total, again, through sustained practice, although it's not really a result of the practice. But when that becomes total and complete, as it's spoken of, the sitting itself stands, the standing itself walks, or another expression, when walking, not even knowing that I walk, there being no reflective awareness at all. The walking walks. There are these strange sounding statements, but that's precisely what it is. Just like when you're totally involved in something, there's no extra reflective awareness going on. Now, the point is for that concentration to reach its completion, its culmination, its denouement, then it dissolves without a trace. At which point you are not aware of anything. You could just also say you are aware of everything, but you are not separate from it. You are what you see. You are what you hear. The separation, the self-delusion, that is the delusion of self, that separation is gone. It's found to be gone from the first. It was only a deception, a trick of the mind that made it appear. That distinction, nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. So these strange expressions like, I am the universe and the universe is me. What? Yes. It's literally true in a way that is impossible for ordinary consciousness to comprehend. Not because we've gone to some mystical realm, but rather the self-delusion that separates us from the world, from others, and from ourselves. That separation is gone. That's what genuine awakening is. It's not adding on something, anything. We don't need to add on anything. We already have more than enough. It's simply dropping the distinction, the delusion, the self-delusion that is the delusion of a self. From there, how to say it, being without self works in the world. It does what needs to be done. I would say this is true compassion. This is love, the work of love. Love is that separation dissolving, isn't it? You all know this from your experience. That's exactly what love is, isn't it? In Buddhism, we do not limit it, though. It is all and everything. And then creatively, compassionately working from there to do what needs to be done. Yes, proper guidance is very helpful. in getting to that point where everything is brought together and then dissolves. In a sense, the guidance is even more important then. Then what do you do? This kind of guidance is very, very valuable. And yet at the same time, each one of us must go through ourselves. There is no other way. But we all have a body and we all have a mind. That's all that you need. You have everything that you need. Maybe some fine tuning could be helpful. Yes, that's the point of the practice. But we don't do that with the intention of getting somewhere else. It's that very delusion that has to be undone, you see? When we really give all of ourselves to the practice, it proves itself. It becomes clear without a shadow of a doubt. When you give yourself fully to the practice, it shows you where you must go. I urge you to confirm this for yourself, to see this is what must be done with the precious life that we've been given. Willing to give all of ourselves to this practice. We cannot help but make it clear, unmistakable, without a shadow of a doubt. And then to live joyfully from that, with and for others. I've been doing this for a while now, so it gets simpler and simpler. I run out of things to say. Please confirm it for yourself. There is no other way. I'd like to leave time, Cyrus, for questions or whatever from everyone. Again, thank you all for listening so intently.
Jeff, I would like to say that I'm very touched by what you said, but that is that's an understatement. It's just sinking in. A very true inspiring or inspiration to practice and what it's aiming to. Thank you very much.
I have a question. In the meditation now, I have these pictures. These are pictures of like a cocoon. You know, this is like how I feel in my world with my mind. And there was a other awareness in the meditation, like a butterfly, you know, because it's like free and it's woof. And I asked myself why I prefer to stay always in the cocoon, you know, to build myself, stay there, and even if it's very sick, you know, from the other perspective, it's very sick because it's very small and needs to prove the existence of the mind always itself. You know what I mean? Like, so why there is this attention always more to go to the cocoon instead of be free? Because be free is a more lovely, not lovely, but you know, it's a more bigger feeling, or it would be more smart to be more there. You know what I mean? So why there's this? I mean, I have the thought because nobody talks about this in our society, so I cannot know that there existing something more. But but only this is one explanation from myself. But yeah, this is my question, why there is this, for myself, always this, to come to the point of smallness and to come to the point of cocoon instead of be big.
That's what we've learned to do, isn't it? That's the way we have all learned to be. Feeling insecure, we return to this. Maybe we're not even really satisfied with it. Maybe the cocoon is starting to smell a little bit. What's the alternative? We don't know, or maybe we're not sure. So we know this, right? We know the cocoon. I don't really like it, but I know it. And so we find ourselves coming back and replaying those old, right? And we know it doesn't go anywhere. We know it's not truly satisfying. We know it's not true or real yet somehow. But we don't know, as you suggest, we don't know what else to do. Well, this is the precious gift of the Dharma, of Buddhist, living Buddhist practice, is that there is a way through. There is a way through. To use the image you have of the cocoon, fully be in that cocoon, to fully know it from the inside. It can't help but become a butterfly. It may take some time. It may take some time. But don't even get attached to the butterfly, okay? You make the butterfly into some kind of an ideal free world fluttering about. Forget that. Don't even stick with the butterfly. But perhaps that cocoon has a role to play, a place. Go in there and see, what is it really? What is it really? Do you need that? Perhaps as a small child, maybe we did need that, that kind of safety and security. But do you need that now?
Oh,
Is that not something that is confining you? Again, I use the word, the self-delusion that is a delusion of the self. Yes, here it is. Here's what I am. I know what I am. Do you? If you really knew what you were, you wouldn't need to come back to some identity, would you? Not even a butterfly. You'd be the whole universe and not one single thing. But don't get rid of the cocoon too quickly. See what it really is. Do you really need it? Nobody's here to, force you to throw it away. You have to see for yourself. It's done. It's played its role. I don't need that anymore. You see that, don't you? Patiently put it into practice and let go. Let go. Discipline, patience, humility, yes, it's very important, but it won't get you there. Just realize where you really are right now.
Hello, everyone. I want to thank you, Cyrus, for the invitation, and it is a marvelous occasion to do Zazen and to hear such a complete Dharma talk in the middle of the night. Thank you, everyone.
You're in Montreal, huh?
Yes, I am.
Wonderful to have you with us.
Thank you.
Yes. First of all, thank you. And my process is regarding to what you said. Like when you said how I understood it, that there is a knowing where to go, which I transport like what feels right somehow within the practice, and it's with the breath and the practice, and there is a kind of field or feeling or how to describe, no, which feels right, what I said, and within that there are thoughts coming and or going also, and my process about how to approach the practice with the will again, this effort will issue, no, because when I just remain in that field, then just thoughts come and go, but I also could put will and breathe more or put more attention on the breath, and there I'm not really clear which is the right path on that or how to approach that, because I experience also the will, the effort is a contraction again in that moment, which becomes something like what I understand as a delusion, like I do this, and somehow the just being with the thoughts and let it go as it is. But there I'm also doubting a bit if this is also delusion or a comfort, and if I should put more will or more effort into that again. So I would be, how to approach this.
In the beginning, we need, let's say, willpower. Without that, you wouldn't be sitting here in the first place. Yes, we need some kind of determination, some kind of willpower. I'm not going to watch TV for the next hour. I'm going to, this is an American example, maybe not in German. I'm going to do this because this is what I feel needs to be done. And during the Zazen, for example, 25 minutes, there may be a few times during the Zazen where a momentary inclination, an urge to get up, but you remain sitting. So in the beginning, yes, without a kind of determination and will, you won't be able to begin, right? The point is to let that willpower exhaust itself, burn itself up. If you do it wrongly, it becomes, I'm going to force my way into this enlightenment. It will never work. It will never work. You're banging against the wall of yourself. To do nothing will not do either, because as the earlier question, if you don't do anything, you'll just go back into your cocoon and replay the same old delusion again, won't you? We already know that. We've been there 100 times, right? So you do need willpower in order to maintain the practice, but as you do it, the concentration that you are seeking, willfully trying to get to, is found to be here. You follow? That's not a willful effort, but to bring yourself to the situation where you can fully realize it. This is the value of will, of discipline, of patience, of practice. Okay? But again, we're not producing something as a result of the practice. You might say we're simply refusing to fall into the same delusions again. Okay? We are simply refusing to escape. Okay? We're not going somewhere else, anywhere else. We are staying right here to see for the first time what is here. And yes, in the beginning, the will is helpful, but you see when you're practicing properly how to say it. It exhausts itself. Do you know what I mean? Like burns itself away. And then you find you are fully there without any intention, will at all. You're here, you're present in a way that is impossible with the will, because the will is by its very nature pressing against something else, isn't it? That's what the will is. It's pressing against something else. Well, in reality, there is no something else. But again, bring yourself back patiently and let it burn itself up, just to see what has been here all along. What has been here all along. Does that help with your question? It's a good question. I think many others also have. Is it helpful?
Yes.
Master?
Yes. It's
Do you want to say anything else?
no, it's just to apply it, not to find the way through it. It's not, I cannot do it with the mind and understanding like, okay, now I understood, and it's the practice.
You say the thoughts still come up. The thoughts still come up. This can be the most frustrating part of the practice, right? You're sitting there and it feels pretty good, pretty solid, pretty calm, but then, boy, I'm doing really well. The thoughts start to come again, sometimes very strong, over and over. What do you do with them? If you fight with them, you're just creating more thoughts. If you simply pretend they're not there, that doesn't help either. So what do you do with the thoughts? You don't have to do anything. You have to be fully there, concentrated. When a thought arises, let it come, let it go. As you do this, Astrid, what happens is you start to see the thought at the moment that it arises. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where do these thoughts come from? A memory, a desire, anything and nothing, but they come. But when you see it just as it arises, just as the thought starts to take shape, once it's taken shape, it's too late. But when you see it just starting to come, oh, there it is. Just don't do anything. Don't go toward it. Make a story out of it, of course. That's just more thought, right? But don't try and push it away either, because that's also will. That's also a kind of a thought, a willful thought. It's no better or worse. Don't do anything. It takes time, but after a while, the insecurity, to go back to the earlier question, the insecurity that makes us want to go back into those cocoon of thoughts, huh? Not satisfying, but at least I've been there before. The insecurity that makes us do that dissolves. Then the thoughts have no place to hold on to. So even if a thought comes, there's no place for it to hold on to. You see? It just comes from nowhere and it goes to nowhere. It's not really a disturbance, a problem. Please confirm it for yourself. Don't trust my words alone. Okay?
Yes.
Jeff, I have a question. I'm Beatrice. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you for your Dharma talk. The question came now. You said this about the thoughts. I have the idea I must bring the thoughts and press a and press a down. And I have understand you said I should let they go. How it is right is not the right word. I don't know. I go with one, and the thoughts go, or I bring the thoughts in my one. Yes, this is my question. Mm.
I would suggest using the breath itself rather than the thoughts. So when the thoughts are there, recognize them. Oh, there's a thought. But then don't do anything with it. Simply return to the breath. Not the thought of the breath, but the physical, the actual breath itself. It's always there. You can't lose it. But it is not a thought, do you see? We are not aware of it often, but we are always breathing, aren't we?
Mm.
But we don't think about it. We breathe anyway, don't we? You see?
Yes.
It's not a thought, nor is it the result of a thought. We can think about our breath, but that's not what we need to do. It's so simple, we don't even need to think about it. We're always already doing it, aren't we? This is the genius of using the breath, you see? Not an idea, but the breath itself. So simply use that to exaggerate, huh? No inside, no outside, no better, no worse, no illusion, no enlightenment. Just the breath, breathing itself. This is a very good entrance, you see, to get out of your head and the thoughts and to bring the focus, the concentration. They speak about a little bit below the belly, huh? Well, the physical center of the body, huh? The tanden or the hara as it's called. This is very helpful to get out of all the thoughts in your head and not fight with them, but simply let that energy naturally drift down. It knows where to go if you don't interfere with it. Then you'll find a great vitality and energy in the pit of your stomach, huh?
Mm.
Not up in your head. You see the value of, in a sense, it's a physical practice. It's not just something we're thinking about in our head. It's something we are doing with our whole body and mind. And it's very helpful using the breath like that to let all of those thoughts just naturally, over time, they dissolve. The insecurity that spawns them, creates them, is no longer there. It doesn't disappear just like that. We've been working on those thoughts for a long time, haven't we? So it takes some time. But if you stop feeding those thoughts and trying to push them away is another way of feeding them. So if you don't do anything with them, but simply return to the breath, you'll see after a while. You don't need them. Be patient, but not lazy, okay?
Thank you.
So if nobody else has a question, I think that's a good place to do 4 vows. Thank you, Jeff, immensely for answering questions, Dharma talk. Thank you.